Have you ever tried meditating and felt like you were pushing against a door that just wouldn't budge? I have a confession for you. For years, you were told the problem was you, that you lacked discipline, that your mind was too restless, that you just needed to try harder. But what if I told you everyone was wrong? What if the reason your meditation isn't working isn't a lack of willpower, but because you're trying to enter through the wrong door? Eckhart Tolle discovered something that completely changed how we understand spiritual practice. Something he mentions in his books, but few truly grasp. And this something might explain why your mind resists so much when you try to sit in silence. Have you noticed how the moment you close your eyes to meditate, your mind turns into a radio station tuned to every frequency at once? Grocery lists, conversations you should have had, worries about the future, regrets from the past. It's as if your mind is protesting against the silence. I used to think this was normal, that everyone went through it, that it was just a matter of persisting until magically peace arrived. But here's what no one tells you. Your mind isn't resisting meditation. It's resisting something much deeper, something that's been happening in your nervous system for years, maybe decades. Eckhart Tolle calls it the mind's background noise. But it's not just noise. It's an alert system that's constantly active, like a car alarm no one can turn off. And as long as that alarm is ringing, it doesn't matter how many breathing techniques you learn. It doesn't matter how many mantras you repeat. You'll be trying to plant flowers in poisoned soil. Think of it like this. Have you ever tried to sleep with a fire alarm blaring in the building next door? That's exactly what you're doing when you try to meditate without first calming your nervous system. And here's the part that will surprise you. This discovery didn't come from a monastery and didn't come from decades of practice with gurus. It came from modern neuroscience confirming what Eckhart intuited decades ago. Your nervous system has two main states. The first is the alert state, where you're constantly scanning your environment for threats. Your muscles are tense. Your breath is shallow. Your mind is racing. It's survival mode activated. Second is the calm state, where your body deeply relaxes. Your breath finds a natural, deep rhythm. Your mind slows down. It's in this state that you can truly access deep states of consciousness. Most people live permanently in the first state. Their bodies never truly relax. Minds never truly slow down. Try to meditate in this state. Listen to classical music in the middle of a raucous party. Or still, it's like trying to sleep with adrenaline pumping through your veins. But what if there was a way to transition between these states in under 2 minutes? What if you could literally turn off this internal alarm before trying to meditate? That would change everything, wouldn't it? Because that's exactly what Eckhart discovered. And that's exactly what I'm gonna teach you today. But before we get there, I need you to understand something crucial. What you're about to learn isn't a meditation technique. It's what happens before meditation. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Imagine that your whole life you've been trying to light a fire with damp kindling. You tried harder, blew harder, added more sticks, but the fire never really caught. Now imagine if someone taught you to dry the kindling first. That's exactly what's about to happen. You've probably felt this before, those rare moments when your mind naturally grew quiet. Maybe watching a sunset, maybe taking a quiet walk in nature, maybe in a moment of pure exhaustion. In those moments, you weren't trying to meditate. You weren't forcing anything. Your nervous system simply relaxed. Suddenly, the world became sharper, the colors more vivid. Time seemed to slow down, felt present in a way you rarely experience. These weren't moments of luck. They were moments when you accidentally created the right conditions for your natural consciousness to emerge. Question is, what if you could recreate these conditions intentionally? What if you could access this state whenever you wanted, in 2 minutes or less? Because that's exactly what happens when you learn to work with your nervous system instead of against it. Eckhart Tolle realized this decades ago. He noticed that the people who had more ease with presence weren't necessarily those who had been meditating the longest. They were the ones who intuitively created the right conditions before trying to enter deep states. And those conditions have everything to do with a specific function of your nervous system that you've probably never learned to use consciously. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with the way you breathe, not in the way you... Most breathing techniques teach you to control your breath. This further activates the alert system because control requires effort, and effort signals danger to the nervous system. Eckhart discovered is the opposite. It's about allowing your breath to find its natural rhythm. It's about becoming aware of something that's already happening instead of trying to make something happen. You do this the right way, something extraordinary happens. Your nervous system interprets this as a signal of complete safety, as if you were telling your whole being, it's okay, you can relax, there's no danger here. It's in that moment that the door opens, the same door that seemed locked during all those frustrating attempts at meditation. Suddenly, it opens effortlessly. But here's what's even more incredible. Once you experience this, you never forget it. It's like learning to ride a bike. Your body develops a cellular memory of this state. And the more you practice this simple 2-minute preparation, the easier it becomes to access deep states of consciousness. Not because you're becoming better at forcing your mind to be quiet, but because you're learning to create the conditions where quietude emerges naturally. It's the difference between pushing a river and allowing it to flow. And this brings us to the heart of what Eckhart truly teaches. It's about removing the obstacles that prevent your natural awareness from shining. And the biggest obstacle isn't your chattering mind. It's your nervous system in a constant state of alert. Solve that first, and everything else becomes possible. Now, ready to learn exactly how to do this? Because what I'm about to show you is so simple, you can do it right now, wherever you are, without any special equipment, without any specific posture, just you and 2 minutes. But before we begin, I need to warn you about something. Once you experience this, you'll understand why so many people struggle with meditation. You'll see clearly what's been blocking you all these years. Perhaps, for the first time, you'll feel that sensation all the great spiritual masters describe. The feeling of coming home to a place within you that's always been there, waiting. A place that doesn't need to be created or conquered, just remembered. That sense that something's about to open up? Because it is. Let's start with a simple question. Can you feel your breath happening right now without changing anything? Don't control it. Don't improve it. Just observe. It's happening on its own, isn't it? Your breath knows exactly what to do without any help from your thinking mind. That's the first crucial insight. Your body already knows how to relax. Nervous system already knows how to find peace. You don't need to teach it anything. You just need to stop interfering. And interfering, most of the time, simply means trying too hard. Eckhart Tolle always talks about effortless effort, and this confuses a lot of people. How can you make an effort without making an effort? When you understand how to work with your nervous system, it makes perfect sense. It's like the difference between pushing a boulder uphill and letting it roll downhill. Both involve movement, but one flows naturally, while the other requires constant force. Here's the secret that changed everything for me. Preparation I'm going to teach you isn't about making something happen. It's about allowing something that already wants to happen. Your nervous system wants to relax. Your mind wants to be quiet. Your awareness wants to expand. These are natural states you were born programmed for. The problem is, we live in a world that constantly activates our alarm systems. And when those systems are active, it's impossible to access these natural states. It's like trying to listen to your inner music in the middle of a construction site. But you learn to turn down the volume of that construction, then you listen. And what you hear is so beautiful, so peaceful, so you, that you wonder how you could have lived so long without it. That's the real promise of what we're about to explore. No more complicated techniques, no more fighting your mind, no more frustration with practices that don't work. Just a simple, direct return to what you've always been, underneath all the noise. Are you ready? First thing, find a place where you can be for 2 minutes without being interrupted. It can be where you are right now. It doesn't need to be silent. It doesn't need to be special. Because what we're going to do works anywhere. In traffic, at the office, in a supermarket queue. Now, breathe normally and listen carefully. What I'm going to teach you has 3 steps, just 3. And each one goes against everything you've been taught about meditation. Step 1, observe your breath, but don't change anything. That's right. Don't breathe deeper. Don't count. Don't control. Just notice that you're breathing. Feel the air coming in naturally. Feel the air going out naturally. Don't judge whether it's right or wrong. Just observe, like a curious scientist, observing a natural phenomenon. Step 2, and this is the most important one. While you observe your breath, allow it to be exactly as it is. If it's fast, allow it to be fast. If it's shallow, allow it to be shallow. If it's irregular, allow it to be irregular. If your mind starts criticizing your breath, it should be deeper. It should be slower. Just observe those thoughts too, without judging them. You're not trying to correct anything. Simply saying to your nervous system, I accept you exactly as you are right now. Here's the miracle that science now confirms. When you stop trying to change your breath, when you stop judging it, when you simply accept it, it automatically starts to find its natural rhythm. Not because you're forcing it, but because you've stopped interfering. Because you've created a space of total safety for your nervous system. It's like removing a rock from the path of a river. The river knows how to flow. It just needed you to stop blocking it. Step 3, and this is what seals it all. While you observe your breath finding its natural rhythm, start noticing the space between thoughts. Don't try to stop the thoughts. It's impossible and unnecessary. Thoughts are like clouds in the sky of your consciousness. Come and go naturally. Instead, start noticing that between one thought and the next, small space, a pause, a silence, a stillness. It's like the pause between 2 musical notes. Without that pause, there would be no music, only noise. Without that space between thoughts, there would be no clear awareness, only mental confusion. First, this space might only last a fraction of a second. But as you practice these 3 simple steps, this space begins to expand. And it's in this space that everything happens. In this space, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes the thoughts. In this space, you are not your emotions. You are the conscious presence that witnesses the emotions. Not in control of thoughts, not in forced concentration, but in this natural space that exists between thoughts. Eckhart Tolle calls this the portal to the present. Once you learn to recognize this space, you can access it at any time. Shall we do this together now? Breathe normally. Allow the breath to be as it wants to be, and observe the space between thoughts. Don't force anything, just observe. Thoughts arise, let them arise. If emotions arise, let them arise. You're not trying to create an empty state. You're learning to be the conscious space where everything can exist without resistance. It's as if you were the sky, and the thoughts were the clouds. The sky never fights the clouds. It simply lets them pass. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Did you feel it? Even for a moment? That sensation of something opening up, of stepping out of doing mode and into being mode, as if an invisible door had swung open within your chest. Perhaps you felt a subtle lightness. Perhaps your shoulders relaxed without you even noticing. Perhaps your breath deepened naturally. Perhaps, for a moment, you experienced a peace that doesn't depend on anything external. Calmness that doesn't need to be defended or maintained. That's the difference between meditating and being present. And that's precisely why so many people struggle with traditional meditation. They're trying to make presence happen. But presence isn't something you do. It's something you are. And when you create the right conditions in your nervous system, presence emerges naturally. Like a flower opening when it finds the right light. Here's something that might shock you. What you just experienced, that state of effortless acceptance and observation, that's not a preparation for meditation. That is meditation. Real meditation. Meditation as Eckhart Tolle understands it. Meditation as the great masters always knew it would be. Everything else, all the complicated techniques, all the specific postures, all the mantras and visualizations are merely tools that can sometimes help you arrive at this state. The state itself is simply this: total acceptance of the present moment, starting with total acceptance of your breath and your thoughts exactly as they are. That changes everything, doesn't it? Because now, you no longer need to sit in lotus position for 30 minutes, forcing your mind to be quiet. You can access this state in 2 minutes, on the bus, during your work break, or bed, whenever you need to come home to that place within you that is always peaceful, always present, always whole. And the more you practice these 3 simple steps, the more this state becomes your natural frequency. Not because you're disciplining yourself to be spiritual, because you're removing the obstacles that prevent your spiritual nature from shining. It's like wiping the dust off a diamond. A diamond doesn't need to learn to shine. It just needs you to remove what's blocking its light. Something even deeper happening here. When you practice these 3 steps regularly, you begin to realize that this state of acceptance and presence isn't limited to those 2 minutes of practice. It begins to seep into the rest of your life in surprising ways. You become more patient in traffic, not because you're forcing yourself to be patient, but because your nervous system has learned not to interpret every delay as a threat. You become more present in conversations, not because you're trying to be a better listener, but because your mind isn't constantly planning what you'll say next. You become more capable of handling stress without losing your center, not because you've developed stress resistance, but because you found a place within you that cannot be disturbed by external circumstances. It's as if you've discovered an inner sanctuary that's always available, a place of calm in the midst of any storm, not because you're forcing yourself to be more spiritual, but because you're literally retraining your nervous system to operate from a place of calm instead of constant alert. And that's revolutionary. Because it means that spiritual awakening isn't something mystical and unattainable. It's something practical and accessible to anyone willing to dedicate 2 minutes a day to remembering who they truly are. Eckhart Tolle always says that the biggest misconception about spirituality is thinking it's about becoming something you're not, when in reality, it's about stopping pretending to be something you're not. Stopping pretending that you are only your chattering mind. Stopping pretending that you are only your fears and worries. Stopping pretending that you are only your problems and dramas. And remembering that you are the consciousness that observes all of that. The presence that is always here, always calm, always whole. Regardless of what's happening on the surface of your life, I'm going to tell you something that might sound strange at first. As you continue practicing these 3 steps, you'll begin to realize that it's not you who is doing the practice. It's as if the practice is happening through you. As if some higher intelligence is guiding the process. That's exactly what's happening. You stop interfering with the natural wisdom of your body and your breath. You align yourself with an intelligence that is far greater than your thinking mind. Same intelligence that makes your heart beat, that digests your food, that heals your wounds, and that knows exactly how to bring you home, to that place of peace that never really left you. You just forgot how to get there. Now, you remember. And the most beautiful thing about remembering is that once you remember, it's impossible to completely forget again. Might get distracted sometimes, might get lost in the drama of life sometimes. There will always be a part of you that knows the way back. Part of you that remembers the 3 simple steps, that remembers the natural breath, that remembers the space between thoughts. And that's enough. Because awakening isn't a destination, it's a return, a constant return to what you always were, beneath all the layers of conditioning and forgetting. Each time you return, even for 2 minutes, you're strengthening that pathway back home, making it easier for the next time, next, and the next, until one day you realize that there's no longer a difference between practice and life, between meditation and presence, between effort and everything becomes a natural expression of what you are. A continuous dance between consciousness and experience, between being and becoming. And get to that place. When you get to that place, you understand why Eckhart Tolle always smiles that way, why he talks about suffering without judgment, why he radiates a peace that cannot be disturbed by external circumstances. Understand why he can be in a room full of anxious people and completely calm. Why he can talk about heavy topics without carrying the emotional weight of them. Not because he's special, not because he has mystical powers, not because he meditates 8 hours a day, but because he remembered something that we all know deep down. Something that's always available. Something that doesn't need to be earned or deserved. Something you just prove to yourself exists within you. Just remembered. And now you know how to remember. 3 simple steps. 2 minutes a day. A life transformed. Not a dramatic overnight transformation, but a subtle, profound shift that deepens each day, like a seed planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. At first, you may not see anything happening on the surface, but beneath, roots are forming, strength is accumulating. And one day, you realize something fundamental has changed within you. You're no longer the same person desperately trying to make meditation work. You've become someone who knows how to come home, someone who carries peace with them wherever they go. The door wasn't locked after all. You were just pushing when you should have been allowing it to open. And now that you know this, now that you've experienced this, everything changes. Because you're no longer someone who tries to meditate. You're someone who knows how to come home. And home is a place you can always reach, in 2 minutes or less, whenever you need to remember who you truly are. Beneath all the thoughts, beneath all the worries, beneath all the drama, you are the awareness that observes it all, the presence that's always here, the peace that can never be disturbed. And that was never something you needed to learn, just something you needed to remember. Welcome home. Eckhart Tolle would say this is the beginning of a journey back to yourself, stillness within, to the peace that is always present, waiting discovered. It's not about finding something new. It's about remembering what you already are. Quiet strength, the inner peace, the unshakable presence at the heart of your being. This is not a destination. It's a way of being, a way of returning to the quiet center of your own soul, again and again and again.